Good morning.
Hey, Stacy, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. How did
Good.
it feel to get a haircut?
Amazing. Who knew? A year
That's right.
without.
You feel
So,
human again.
I know, right?
Yeah.
My hair feels a million times lighter.
I spoke to your mother earlier this week. She sounds good.
She's doing pretty well. She's
Yeah.
as best as we all can be,
Right.
given the year that we've had. So, yeah, but just keep checking on her because you never know.
That's right. Yeah. So you're in person in school, right?
Actually, I'm still working from home. I got ADA approved.
Oh,
So, yeah, I kind of like working from home. I'm used to it now, but I know that I can't wait to get back in person with the kids and hopefully things go well over the summer and that we don't,
right.
yeah.
No, it looks good. It's at least the projections are looking good for vaccines and
Yes.
virus. Yeah.
And my nephews can finally get their vaccines.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, then my whole family will have it all. So
Yeah. I read in the paper today that Pfizer and Moderna are working on trials for 6 months to 11-year-olds.
oh wow, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're thinking that if all goes well, then maybe they can be vaccinated in the fall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince was saying that it should be required for school-age children, kind of like their other vaccines that they need to have. And I was like, I wish that, but since they can't even force the adults to get it,
I know.
how are you going to force them to get their kids vaccinated?
Yep.
But oh my gosh, I'm still going to keep wearing my mask. I'm not gonna. I'm not.
Yeah, you don't have to take a chance, but yeah, certainly inside it makes sense to wear a mask. I don't see, unless you're in a very crowded place outside, like sitting at a
Right.
concert or stadium. I don't think it's necessary to wear it outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your mother said that your uncle has been a tremendous help to her.
She brags about her little brother all the time. And my sisters and I said to him, like, you're not allowed to pass until we do. So you gotta stay healthy because he knows all the medical lingo and how to translate it. So we understand what's going on and he knows the questions to ask.
Right.
So he's been wonderful. We said he's uncle of the century.
Yeah. Hey, David, Cantor Adina.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Excuse me.
David, you got a new logo for yourself there. I see the letter pi, huh?
Right.
Why?
That's because of one of my grandsons. He loves it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
He at one point memorized pi to 105 digits.
Wow. Whoa. David, my husband Glenn only knows it to half that many. Approximately.
He did that in the 5th grade.
105 digits of pi he memorized.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Huh. He couldn't find a different hobby. I guess that's better than watching I don't know, some ridiculous show on TV who are playing Fortnite.
Right. 10 was enough for me.
I maybe
I
have
think I
that.
only know 3.14. That's
Yeah,
it.
there you
I think it's 3.14159. I think. I don't remember. It's been so long.
Hey, Dennis.
Morning.
Oh, thanks for dressing up for us.
Anytime.
Did you see he was wearing a bathrobe?
It's
Stacy,
too early in the
after that, I
morning. You
hold
gotta
with
push
Rabbi
it off
Hillel,
to
the rest
10.
was commentary.
I'm dressed.
And then we skip.
Oh,
to
there you
Bible
go.
study.
Okay.
I'm dressed.
How about those Nats last night? 17 runs.
Did they? I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what the paper said, I think.
Wow.
My paper said it was a late game, so I didn't.
Oh. I don't know where I saw it then. Well, the Phillies won. That's
That's all that matters.
matters.
It's
That's
all
all that
good in
matters
the
to
world.
you.
The Phillies won.
that's it. And the Sixers won, so they clinched first place in the for the playoffs.
Good.
They'll
Now
probably.
you just gotta be a betting man, and you'll make $1 million.
I tell you, all those commercials for all those betting apps. That's ridiculous. What
Oh
you
my gosh, they're so annoying and they just
Yeah.
seem to come out of nowhere all at once.
Yeah. A whole variety of bets that you can make too. Some these parlays, I don't know what those are, but you can like any kind of imaginable thing that could happen in a game, you can bet on it.
I talked to your son. He'll know.
Well, he only knows about the football pool, right? Fantasy football
Right.
league. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
How was last night live?
I think it was nice.
Good.
Yeah, it was good. We were, yeah, it was nice to be in the building. It was nice to sing live with other people. So it was really nice.
Good.
Yeah, we have to put another one on the calendar. Maybe in August we'll do one. But then again, you know, Slichot is going to be in August.
Yeah.
which is just crazy.
Because I was thinking Shavuot is pretty early this year.
It is. Rosh Hashanah is Sunday night of Labor Day weekend. The first day of Rosh Hashanah is Labor Day.
I remember that now because one of the
Wait a minute,
MCPS
I
calendar
thought it was-
suggestions had the first day on the second day of Rosh Hashanah,
Uh-huh.
I
Right.
believe. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're not doing that.
Right. What'd you say, Dina?
Yeah. Nope. I was running through a calendar error and yeah. Rosh Hashanah is Monday, Tuesday, Yom Kippur is
It
Wednesday.
is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
No, I know because this came into family discussions because one of our nephews is finally getting married
Oh,
to a woman he's been seeing on and off, mostly on for
Yeah.
these 15 years.
oh my.
She has been willing to convert. She's converted. It's done.
Yeah.
October 2nd, that Saturday night, October 2nd.
After all the holidays are over.
Yes, after all the, yes.
Yes.
We have been working with the calendar so we've got to
Yeah.
get to South Beach, Miami.
Oh, cool.
This is a not to be missed.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Yeah.
On penalty of,
Yes.
family ostracism. It's Glenn's oldest sister, Robin, her middle child, they're getting married in reverse order.
Ah,
Younger one got married a few years ago.
Right.
is now very pregnant with child number 2, who
Good.
is due about the time of the wedding.
Oh, boy, that's good timing.
Yeah, perfect. Well, they postponed the wedding twice because of COVID.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Move the
Hello,
venue.
everybody.
Hey, Audrey. Hey,
Hello.
Cheryl.
Hi,
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom,
shalom,
Audrey.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Ken.
Shabbat shalom.
And Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Rabbi, I've been invited to a bar mitzvah via Zoom from Beth Shalom in Raleigh, North Carolina
Oh,
on
okay.
12th of June.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll miss out on the first
On the
live
in-person.
service in person. Yeah.
Right.
She's down 2.2 pounds and she got her.
So who is that? Who is that?
It's an old friend of mine. It's her grandson.
Oh, nice.
My friend happens to be my son's godmother.
Oh, okay.
You know, she's
That's nice.
Paul, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Rita.
Rita. Shabbat shalom, Paul.
Shabbat Shabbat shalom.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Haven't seen the Kesslers in a while, but Marilyn's going to do a reading today. Hey, George, you're muted. There you go. Yeah, just making sure you know the muting thing. So you're going to be muted during the service, but Marilyn will unmute herself to do the reading.
Okay, but she's getting a glass.
And it's plenty of time. Plenty of time. It's not for another hour or so.
How you been?
Good. How about you?
Except for Israel, we're okay.
Right. Are your grandchildren and great grandchildren okay?
They're okay right now.
Yeah, because Beersheba was hit a couple of times, right?
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
No, there were rockets aimed at Beersheba. Not today,
No.
but a couple of days ago.
Oh,
You didn't.
hear about that?
It was on the Times of Israel. Like every day, Times of Israel says where the rockets were going.
You have to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I have a friend who lives in Yerucham, which is south of Beersheba, which I know, which is George and Marilyn's
Right.
kids live there. That's quiet.
It's
Yeah,
quiet.
but they had sent a rocket all the way to Eilat.
Yeah, but in Yerucham, he said it was quiet.
Okay, that's
Thank
good.
God.
That's good.
Well, we have children in Tel Aviv too,
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
and what do you call it? Up north,
Uh-huh.
Haifa.
Up at Haifa. Yeah, they've been going all over.
You know,
Yeah.
well, just too much.
Yes, it is. All right, we'll get started momentarily.
We had her son and his wife here for 2 weeks.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, they left about 5-6 days ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
And her daughter's coming on the 20th. If she can get an airplane, that'll take her.
Yeah, the flights have been canceled.
Yeah. We shall see.
Right. All right, folks, it's 9:30. We'll get started. I'll mute all. And Cantor Adina, unmute yourself. And here come my parents. And all right, we will get started. We're on page 147 in Lev Shalem, 105 in Sim Shalom, Shochenad.
Shochenad, marom v'kadosh shemo.
Shochenad, marom v'kadosh shemo,
V'chatuv ranenu tzadikim b'Adonai, la'yesharim nava tehila, b'fi yesharim titalal, u'v'divrei tzadikim titbarach. ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל ברינם. שכן חובת כל היצורים לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להלל ולקלס על כל דברי שירות, ותשבחות דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. האמן. ברכות וידות מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אל חי העולמים.
We rise if we can for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה, ועלמא דברה קירותך, וימליך מלכותך בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך תקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, יוצר אור ובורא חושך, עושה שלום ובורא את הכל.
Be seated. We continue 150 in Leif Shalem, 107 in Sim Shalom.
אין קרקך ואין זולתך, אפס בלתך ומדומה לך. אין קרקך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס בלתך גולנו למות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. אל אדון על כל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המתגאה על חיות הקודש, ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאור הבריאות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת, בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נאה זיום בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהמה רצון קונם, פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אור, ראה והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו, כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש, לילה של שבת מכל המעשים ביום השביעי.
Or on page 152 in Lev Shalem, on to then the top of 153, or 109 in Sim Shalom, onto the top of 110. לילה של שבת מכל המעשים ביום השביעי.
תתברך בשיר השבח מעשה ידיך, ועל מאוריו שעשית יפארך הסלע, תתברך צורנו. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים ומעריצים, ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא קדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנשאים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, לאל ברוך נמותיתנו. המחדש בטובו בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית כאמור, לעושה אורים גדולים, כי לעולם חסדו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, 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 ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
We continue on page 154 in Lev Shalem, 111 in Sim Shalom, gathering our tzitzit in preparation for the Shema.
והערננו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי פועל ישועת אתה, ובנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך וליחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל מאהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. עם שמות תשמעו קולותיי.
We continue the middle of page 156 in Lev Shalem, or the top of 113 in Sim Shalom.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצרנו צור ישועתנו, פודנו ומצילנו מעולם שמך. אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם. תהילות לאל עליון ברוך הוא ומבורך, משה ומרים ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדך נאומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We start the Amida out loud, page 159 in Lev Shalem, 115 in Sim Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד, ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
וקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמעתי שמותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היד ויחקר זה על זה ויאמר.
נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו.
אז בתורה אשר גודל וזג משמים כל מנסים ומצרפים למתם ברוך ומלו.
אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
ממקומך מותן תביעה.
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי צדקך, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצח עם קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Continue silently 162 to 166 in Lev Shalem, 117 to 120 in Sim Shalom. Excuse me, as we conclude our private prayers, we continue with Sim Shalom, page 165 in Lev Shalem, or 120 in Sim Shalom.
שים שלום בעולם, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד, באור פניך. כי באור פניך נתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, תורת חיים ואהבת חסד, אהבת חסד, וצדקה וברכה ורחמים, וחיים ושלום. שים שלום בעולם, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום בעולם, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
We continue with Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish, 167 in Lev Shalem, 138 in Sim Shalom.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה,
Amen.
בעלמא דברה קירותך, וימליך מלכותך, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו, אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות ההון ובאות ההון דכל ישראל קדם אבוהון דבי שמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen.
We turn back in our Sidurim to the Psalm for Shabbat, page 112 in Lev Shalem, 72 in Sim Shalom.
היום יום שבת קודש שבו היו הלווים אומרים בבית המקדש מזמור שיר יום השבת תולדות לאדוני זמר לשמך עליון. הודינו בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו.
Mourners and those observing yahrzeit rise for Kaddish, found on page 121 in Lev Shalem, 82 in Sim Shalom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'alman divrach dirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May be seated. We turn our attention now to our Chumashim. And the Eitz Chaim, we turn to page 769. Whatever edition of Chumash you have, we are starting today the fourth of the 5 books of the Torah, the book of Bamidbar, the portion Bamidbar, which means in the wilderness. The blessing for Torah study, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav etzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
So always with this transition, you think about new starts, starting a new book, and just thinking about our transition that we're going to be making in just a couple of weeks from Zoom to being back in the sanctuary, which is very exciting. That we have been able to withstand the ravages of the virus, and that thank God we are vaccinated and we are able to be together again. So we're looking forward June 12th to be able to be back in the building for the first time on Shabbat. Information went out yesterday about further easing of our restrictions. We'll be able to have 75. Everybody's allowed in as long as they're fully vaccinated. Children are allowed in even though they're not vaccinated with their parents. Everybody can sit next to each other if you're fully vaccinated. It's only the children who would be with their parents if they're not vaccinated to sit 6 feet apart. Otherwise, just masks on, we can sit next to each other. So that is really, really very exciting for us to be able to do that. So sorry for that tangent. It just, I just wanted to say that and just ensure that we're all excited about being able to come back into the building once again. The book of Numbers, we transition, which is a pretty stark transition from the book of Leviticus to the book of Numbers. Leviticus focusing on sacrifices, laws of purity, and holy behavior, to the narrative continuing. We're told that the people of Israel are in the second year after leaving Egypt. Clearly, the Mishkan has been constructed, sacrificial system has begun, and it's the second month in the second year after leaving Egypt. And now in this portion, which gives the name of the entire book to it, is the census that is commanded by God to Moses and Aaron to take of the people of Israel as a whole, and then a separate census just of the tribe of Levi themselves. And we're also told how the people are supposed to be camped around the Mishkan itself. So the numbers, the logistics give its name to the book of Numbers. But in Hebrew, Bamidbar is just based on the first significant word in the portion, how the people of Israel are found in the wilderness, and that the entire book will take place over 38 years, 39 years essentially, as they wander through the desert. We'll read in a few weeks about the sin of the people listening to the 10 spies and lacking faith in God, being condemned to wander in the desert until that generation that left Egypt died out, so that the next generation will be prepared in the 40th year to enter the land of Israel. Paul is going to read for us the selections from Bamidbar this morning, and he'll begin by reading what is essentially the first Aliyah on page 769 through verse 19 on page 771. Go ahead, Paul.
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe b'midbar Sinai ba'ohel moed be'echad b'chodesh hasheni b'shana hashenis l'tzeisam meretz Mitzrayim lemor zu es rosh kol adas b'nei Yisrael l'mishpachosam l'veisavosam b'mispar shemos kol zochar l'gugolosam Iben Esrim Shana V'Mala Kol Yotzei Tzava B'Yisrael Tifkedu Osam L'Tziv Osam Ata V'Haron B'Idchem Yihiu Ish Ish Lamateh Ish Rosh Leveis Avosav Hu Ve'ele Shemos Hu Anoshim Asher Ya'amdu Idchem L'Reuven Elitzur Ben Shteur L'Shimon Shlumiel Ben Sarishadoi, L'Yehuda Nachshon Ben Aminadav, L'Yisachar Nisanel Ben Suar, L'Zvulun Eliyav Ben Chelon, L'Bnei Yosef L'Ephraim Elishama Ben Amihud, L'Menashe Gamliel Ben Pedatzur, L'Vin Yamin Avidon Ben Gidoni, L'Don Achiezer Ben Amishadoi, L'Osher Pagiel Ben Ochron, L'God Eliasaph Ben Deuel, L'naftali achira ben Enon, Ele kroi hoida, Nisye matos avosam, Roshei of Israel haim. Vayikach Moshe v'Aharon, Eis horashim ha'ela sheniklu b'shemos, Eis kol hoido hikilu, Ve'echol l'chodesh hasheni, V'yisyaldu al mishpachosam leveis avosam, V'mispar shemos. Iben esrim shana, V'amal l'gugolosam, Asher tziva Adonai es Moshe, Vayifkadeim b'midbar Sinai.
So here are the representatives of each of the tribes who are supposed to be in charge of the census in their tribe that Moses and Aaron are overseeing. And there's a beautiful comment below the line on page 770, which I had shared in the Torah study during the week, but I wanted to share again the significance of taking a census and how every single individual in the nation of Israel, at least every adult over the age of 20 who was counted, how important each and every one is to the entire success and strength of the entire community. And so it's the last few lines of that comment from the Hasidic Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berdichev, who connects the final total of 603,550 Israelites, which we'll see on verse 46, to a tradition that there are 603,550 letters in the Torah, which is interesting that there are that many letters in the entire Torah. And as I pointed out in the Torah study, that the Masorah, there is this group of rabbis who counted the words in each book of the Torah, counted the letters in each of the books of the Torah, and found significance in the numbers and connected that number to a word and deriving homiletical, deep midrashic meanings about that. But 603,550 letters equaling the amount of people in the Jewish community in Israel, in the desert, just as the absence of one letter renders a Torah scroll unfit for use. That is, the Torah scroll has to be written perfectly. And if anything about the scroll is not written perfectly, it renders it pasul, invalid to be used until it's corrected. So just one letter makes a Torah scroll invalid. So just as the absence of one letter renders a Torah scroll unfit for use, the loss of even one Jew prevents Israel from fulfilling its divine mission. And the importance then with this census, that every single individual is important. Without one, the entire community fails. Without ensuring that everyone is taken care of, without ensuring that everyone is supported and is vital, then the community of Israel becomes weak. The census is taken. The next few pages highlights how many people are in each of the tribes of Israel. And then chapter 2 continues with detailing for us how the people, each of the tribes, is situated around the Mishkan itself, so that the Mishkan, with the ark at the center of the Holy of Holies, which is at the center of the Mishkan itself, that serves as the focal point of the community itself. So it's one thing when we come to shul and face east. It's quite another thing to know that the community of Israel was actually literally centered around the Mishkan itself. So no matter where the people were, they were oriented based on where they were in relationship to the ark itself. So you had 3 tribes on each side of the rectangle of the Mishkan itself, and it details for us how the tribe of Judah headed those people in the east, the tribe of Reuven headed those 3 tribes who were in the south, the tribe of Ephraim headed those 3 tribes who were in the west, and the tribe of Dan headed the 3 tribes who were on the north side of the rectangle. And so that's how we're listed here in chapter 2. Chapter 3 then begins, and this Paul will pick up the reading again, essentially reading for us what is the 4th Aliyah. Chapter 3 now focuses on the tribe of Levi and the census of all the Levitical families. So Paul, like I said, we'll read the 4th Aliyah, chapter 3, verse 1 on page 777 through the top of page 779, verse 13. Go ahead.
ואלה תולדות אהרון ומשה ביום דיבר אדוני אס משה בהר סיני ואלה שמות בני אהרון הבכור נדב אביהו אלעזר ואיתמר אלה שמות בני אהרון הכהנים המשוחים אשר מילא ידם לכהן וימוס נדב אביהו לפני אדוני בהקריבם אש זרה לפני אדוני במדבר סיני ובנים לא היו להם ויכהן אלעזר ואיתמר על פני אהרון אביהם וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור הקרב אס מטה לוי והמרתו עושה לפני אהרון הכהן אשר עשו עושה ושמרו אס משמרתו, אס משמרת כל הועדה לפני אוהל מועד, לעבוד אס עבודת המשכן. ושמרו אס כל כלי אוהל מועד ואס משמרת בני ישראל, לעבוד אס עבודת המשכן, ונעשתו אס הלוויים לאהרון ולבניו, ניסונים המה לו מאס בני ישראל, ואס אהרון ואס בניו תפקוד, ושמרו אס כהונתם, ועזה הקרב יומס. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, ואני הנה לקחתי אס הלוויים, מתוך בני ישראל תחס כל בכור, את הרחם מבני ישראל, והיו לי הלוויים, כי לי כל בכור, ביום הכוסי כל בכור בארץ מצרים. הקדשתי לי כל בכור בישראל מאדם עד בהמה, לי יהיו אני אדוני.
So the portion continues with detailing the census of the tribe of Levi and then also their responsibilities for taking care of different aspects of the Mishkan. So different Levitical families were in charge of, for example, carrying the Mishkan, breaking down the Mishkan, rebuilding the Mishkan at every stop along the way, etc. And so there's an interesting comment below the line on page 780. Although Eleazar was chief officer, that he's the oldest son of Aaron, the high priest, even though he was the chief officer, he was given a great deal of physical labor, as we'll see in chapter 4, detailing what he's in charge of. And so, with a quote from the Jerusalem Talmud, there is no special privilege in the palace of the king. That is, there's no room for an honorary position in the service of God. Just because Eleazar was the chief officer, the next in line after his father, Aaron, the high priest, everybody had to take up their work in the Mishkan. So there's no such thing as an honorary position in working in the Mishkan. In doing temple service, there's no service didn't involve just speaking words and letting other people do the menial labor. No, the menial labor itself was part of the holy work. And so to emphasize the point to the Kohanim that there's nothing, work meant, holy service to God meant not just being designated as such, but also doing the actual physical labor with it. And so to ensure that the priesthood doesn't become
a corrupt organization or that people should feel, the Kohanim should feel arrogant. This is, everything is a holy task. And the portion then concludes in chapter 4 with, again, detailing the special work that each of the Levitical families does. And Paul's going to read the last verses of the portion, beginning with verse 11. So on page 784, chapter 4, verses 11 till the end of the portion, verse 20 on 785.
V'al mizbach hazohav yifresu beged techeles v'chisu oso b'michse or tochash v'samu es badav v'lochu es kolkalei hashares asher ishasu b'kodesh v'nosnu el beged techeles v'chisu oso b'michse or tochash v'nosnu al hamod v'dishnu es hamizbeach Ufarsu Allah beged argamon, V'nosnu Allah eskol kelam, Asher yisharsu Allah bahem. Es hamachtos, es hamizlagos, V'es hayoim, V'es hamizrakos, Kol kalei hamizbeach, Ufarsu Allah, Kisui or tachash v'sanu badav. Yipila Aharon Uvanav Lekasos Esa Kodesh Eskol Kaleha Kodesh Bin Sahamachane Acharechen Yava Uvene Kahos Lasesh Below Yugu El Kodesh for Mesu Elem Asabene Kahos Bo Hamoed Ufkudas Elozor Ben Aharon HaKohen Sheman Hama or Ukator Sasamim Uminchas HaTamid V'Sheman HaMishcha Yekudas Alamishkama Chola Sheba B'Kodesh Uv'Chelav V'Daber Adonai El Moshe V'Aharon Lemor Al Tachrisu Es Shevet Mishpachos HaKosi Mitoch Halavim V'Zos Asu Lahem V'choyu v'layamusu b'gishtam es kodesh hakodashim Aharon uvanav yavau v'samu osam Ish ish alavodaso v'amaso V'layava uliros kivala es hakodesh v'amesu.
Yesha Koach, Paul, thank you for reading Torah for us this morning. Before we continue with the Haftarah, we'll recite the blessing for those who are ill. That's on page 173 in Lake Shalem, 144 in Sim Shalom. If you have a name to add to the list that I have, you can unmute yourselves, but remain quiet, please, until I go around my screen and call on each of the screens that I see in order, one at a time. And you can share your name or names that you want to add to this list. Again, 173 in Lev Shalem, 144 in the middle of the page in Sim Shalom. Misha Berach, Avatena Roham Yitzhak Yaakov, V'imotenu Sarif Garachav Leah, V'yivarecher Peat HaCholim, Yosef ben Naomi, Sima bat Rivka Sarah, Shmuel ben Kare, Nina bat Chana Leah, Simitzivia bat Zelda, Tzipachana bat Golda, Ruth bat Sarah, Neskil Dor ben Shoshana, Shlomo ben Golda, Tzivia Sarah bat Simaleah, Simcha Natan ben Risachana, Avia Sarah bat Cyril Issa, Rachel Penina bat Ariella, Tzipora, Sheva bat Razel, Batya bat Esther, Gavriel ben Batya, Yehuda ben Leah, from Adreda bat Zisha, Malka Chava bat Tzivia Sarah, Batya bat Rivka, Alter Chaim Avram ben Chana Elka, Yosefa Razel bat Etachaya, Ed Klawansky, Walter Simon, James Rosenfield, Gloria Hyacinth, Shira Elisheva bat Sarah, Yosef Shlomo ben Batya, John Alcoba, Steve Resnick, Devorah Sheshel bat Chaya Rochel, Yaakov Hirsch ben Tzipora, Batya Cyril bat Sheva, Razel bat Esther, Zev ben Chaya, Bela Chana bat Fega, Kalman ben Esther Chava, Gedalia ben Chaya, Kuna ben Sarah, Barbara Reich, Rachel bat Marie, Chaya bat Leah. Stacy?
Kate Reed, Eugene Hayes, Maria Hayes, Joan Williams.
Cantor Adina and Glenn.
Gretchen Marianne Klein, Livia Bat Rachel, Reuven Asher Ben Leah, Marie Swanson.
That's it. Rachel Bat Leah, Rachel Bat Yolanda, Rudadina Bat Sarah, Rina Bat Gabriella, Gershon Ben Freya, Baruch Ben Rachel, Yirmiyahu Aryeh Ben Rachel, Chris Brown, and Ronald Philadelphia.
David Polinsky.
Bat Hannah.
Gary and Stacy.
Edward Krixner, Jana Smith, and Lori Saperstein.
Rita.
Sarah Bat Freda Rivka, Tzila Bat Zipporah, Leah Malka Bat Chaya, Michaela Bat Dina, Dahlia Bat Michaela, Noach Ben Seidel, Ephraim Ben Ursula, Graham Khan.
Dad.
Moshe Ben Miriam, Minda Fruma Bat Malka Fredel, Svea Chaya Bat Chana, Dova Chava Bat Chaya Elka.
Charlotte.
Irene Heckler, Ricky Weiser, Michael Weiser, Donna Cohen, Beverly Tillis, and Jay Manius.
Gabe.
Sima Bat Rivka Shora.
Howie.
Chana Leah Bat Soshi.
Marlene.
Lisa Rosenberg.
And just a second here. Arnie.
Peter Weiss.
And Michael.
Miriam Sarah Bat Brina, David Ben Shana, Sarah Miriam Bat Rachel, Samuel Ballat, Charnalea Bat Chaya Sarah.
And Margie.
Abraham Ben from Elka, Shana Chaya Bat Fruma, and Greg Polchini.
That's all the screens that I see. V'kol ha'cholim b'kehilatenu hakadosh baruch hu yimalei rachamim aleihem lahachazikam l'rapotam v'yishlach lahem mehera refuah shlema min hashamayim refuat hanefesh refuat haguf b'toch shar cholim v'chazek yididei hoskim b'tzarcheihem Shabbat himelazoku ofer akrov alavo hashta b'galav izman kariv and amar amen. The Debbie Friedman song. Mishe be'rachavotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe be'rachimotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. The Haftarah this morning is taken from the prophet Hosea, who is one of the first prophets in the prophetic tradition in the history of all the prophets. He prophesied to the northern kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom that had split off from after the death of King Solomon, the northern kingdom that became quite idolatrous in practice, setting up an alternative temple in the northern kingdom, and also allowing for the people to stray from God's path and have idols in their homes, etc. So Hosea preaches to the people about the sense, the spiritual image of the wilderness. Gone are the days when the people were like children in their relationship to God, as other prophets relate to the wilderness itself. If only the people could get back to those days when the people were committed to God. Destruction is at hand, punishment is at hand, but the people will have an opportunity for redemption. And the connection also is in the first verse, the number of the people of Israel shall be like that of the sands of the sea. So we had the census in the Torah portion, and we have this reference to the number of the people of Israel. The Haftarah is found on page 787 in the Eitz Chaim. Just look for whatever Chumash you're using, the Haftarah for the portion Bamidbar. Betsy Colbert is going to be chanting the Haftarah for us. Blessings before and after the Haftarah, and Lev Shalem is on page 175. In Sim Shalom, the bottom of 146 and 147. Go ahead, Betsy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'amarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah Moshe Avdo Yisrael Amo V'Invi'ei Ha'emet V'Tzedek V'Haya Mispar B'nei Yisrael K'chol Hayam Asher Lo Yimad V'Lo Yisafer V'haya bimkom asher ye'amer lahem lo ami atem ye'amer lahem b'nei achai v'nikbetzu b'nei Yehuda u'b'nei Yisrael yachdav v'samnu lahem rosh echad v'yalu min haaretz ki gadol yom Yisrael imru la'avotechem ami v'la'achotechem ruchama rivu v'imchem rivu ki hi lo ishti ve'anochi lo isha v'taser zinuneha mipaneha v'na'afufeha miben shadeha pen afshitena aruma vehi tzagtiha kiyom hivalda v'samtiha chamidbar v'shatiha ke'eretzia v'hamitiha batzama v'et baneha lo arachem ki b'nei zinunim hema ki zanta imam Hovisha Horatam Ki Amra Elcha Acharem Ahavai Notne Lachmi Umemai Tamri Ufishti Shamni Vishikuyai Lachem Hineni sach et darkech basirim vegadarti et gedera unetivotaha lo timtza viridfa et me'ahaveha v'lo tasigotam Uvikshatam v'lo timtza v'amra elcha v'ashuva el ishi harishon ki tov li az me'ata והיא לא ידעה כי אנוכי נתתי לה הדגן והתירוש והיצהר וכסף הרביתי לה וזהב עשו לבעל לכן אשוב ולקחתי דגני בעיתו ותירושי במועדו והצלתי תמרי ופשתי לכסות את ערוותה ועתה אגלה את נבלותה לעיני מאהביה ואיש לא יצילנה מידי והשפעתי כל משושה חגה חדשה ושבתה וכל מועדה והשימותי גפנה ותאנתה אשר אמרה אתנהמה לי אשר נתנו לי מאהבי ושמתים ליער ואכלתם חיית השדה ופקדתי עליה את ימי הבעלים אשר תקטיר להם ותעד נזמה וחייתה ותלך אחרי מאהביה ואותי שכחה נאום אדוני לכן הנה אנוכי מפתחה והולכתי המדבר ודיברתי על ליבה ונתתי לה את כרמיה משם ואת עמק אחור לפתח תקווה וענתה שמה כימי נעורה וכיום עלותה מארץ מצרים והיה ביום ההוא נאום אדוני תקראי אישי ולא תקראי לי עוד בעלי והסירותי את שמות הבעלים מפיה ולא יזכרו עוד בשמם וחרתי להם ברית ביום ההוא עם חיית השדה ועם עוף השמיים ורמס האדמה וקשת וחרב ומלחמה אשבור מן הארץ והשכבתים לבטח וארסתיך לי לעולם וארסתיך לי בצדק ובמשפט ובחסד וברחמים וארסתיך לי באמונה לידעת את אדוני ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות האל הנאמן האומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devaracha v'davar echad midvarecha chor lo yashuv rehekam ki hamelech ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
El hane'eman b'chol devarav.
Amen.
Rachem al Zion ki bet chayenu v'lalu bat nefesh toshia b'mhera v'yameinu Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
v'samech Zion v'baneha.
Amen.
Samechenu Adonai Eloheinu Be'eliyahu hanavi abdecha u'b'malachut bet David Meshichecha b'mhera yavo v'yagel libeinu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalu od acherim et kvodo ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo shelo yichben nero le'olam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Magen David
Amen.
Al HaTorah V'al HaBodah V'al HaNevi'im V'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'kedusha v'limnucha L'chavod U'tifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mevarachim otach yitbarach shemacha befi chochai tamid leolam va'ed Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yasher Koach Betsy, thank you very much for chanting the Haftarah for us this morning. We continue in the service now with the prayer for those who serve the community. I asked Hy Grossberg to read this for us in memory of his father's yahrzeit, which was the other day. So Hy, if you can unmute yourself and read that prayer for us. 176 in Lev Shalem, 148 in Sim Shalom.
May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire congregation, together with all holy congregations, them, their sons and daughters, their families, and all that is theirs, along with those who unite to establish synagogues for prayer, and those who enter them to pray, and those who give funds for heat and light, and wine for Kiddush and Havdalah, bread to the wayfarer, and charity to the poor, and all who devotedly involve themselves with the needs of this community and the land of Israel. May the Holy One reward them, remove sickness from them, heal them, and forgive their sins. May God bless them by making all their worthy endeavors prosper, as well as those of the entire people Israel. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Hy. The prayer for our country is found on page 177 in Lev Shalem, or the bottom of 148, and I'll read the one in Sim Shalom on 148. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst. Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony to banish hatred and bigotry and to safeguard the ideals and free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country. May this land under your providence be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen.
And Marilyn Kessler is going to read for us the prayer for the state of Israel. She's doing so in memory of her mother. The yard site is today. So, Marilyn.
Yes, and I'm also doing it for all my family and all the people of Israel who
Yes.
are being bombarded now.
Yes.
And may they all be safe.
Amen.
Avinu Hashemayim, stronghold and redeemer of the people of Israel, bless the state of Israel, that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love. Spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Marilyn. And I just wanted to add to what Marilyn was saying and share what I had shared last night at the Friday evening service, that the Rabbinical Assembly of Israel, along with the Masorti movement in Israel, suggests to people in Israel, and I would say people around the world, to recite a psalm that we can find on page 251 in the Sim Shalom, which is Psalm 122. And that should be recited as to reinforce our prayers for the safety of the people of Israel and for peace in the Holy Land. Shir Hama'alot LeDavid, Samachti be'omrim li Beit Adonai Nelech, Omdot hayu ragleinu bish'arayich Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim habnuya ki'ir shechubra la yachdav, shesham alu shevatim shiftei ya edut liYisrael lehodot l'shem Adonai, ki shama yashvu kisot lemishpat kisot lebeit David, sha'alu shalom Yerushalayim yishlayu ohavayich, Yehi shalom bechelech shalva ba'armenotayich. L'man achai v're'ai adabra na shalom bach. L'man beit Adonai Eloheinu avaksha tov lach. I rejoiced when they said to me, let us go to the house of David. We stood within your gates, Jerusalem. Jerusalem rebuilt a city uniting all. There the tribes ascended, the tribes of Adonai, as Israel was commanded to praise God's name. There the seats of judgment stood, thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. May there be peace within your walls, serenity within your homes. For the sake of my comrades and companions, I pray that peace be yours. For the sake of the house of Adonai, our God, I seek your welfare. So thank you, Hai and Marilyn, for reading those prayers. I hope and we all hope and pray that the memories of the yard sites that you remembered this past week or today will continue to be a source of blessing and comfort for you. We continue with Ashrei 181.82 in Lev Shalem, 151.52 in Sim Shalom.
אשרי יושבי ביתך עוד יהללוך סלה.
אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוהיו.
תהילה לדוד, ארוממך אלוהי המלך, ואברך שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, ויהללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
אור לדור ישבח מעשיך, גבורותיך יגידו.
הדר כבוד הודיך, ודברי נפלאותיך עשיך.
עזוז נורותיך יאמרו, גדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביעו, וצדקתך ירננו.
אמן ברחום אדוני, ירח אפיים וגדל חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
תומך אדוני לכו הנופלים, וזוקף לכו הכפופים.
עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעתו.
פותח את ידיך ומשביע לכל רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קרב, לכל אשר יקראוהו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שוועתם ישמע ויושיעם.
אומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד, ואנחנו נברך יח, מעתה ועד עולם, hallelujah.
Before we continue with the service, I just wanted to pause and share a couple words with you. First, I see that Jonah Lansky is on Zoom today, and just want to ask Jonah if you and or your brother would lead us in Kiddush at the end of the service. I know that you don't have your picture up, live. You have a picture of a cat instead. I'll just assume that you'll do yes, hands up, excellent. You'll do Kiddush at the end. Okay. So this morning's portion, it's interesting how events in the Jewish world or in the world at large can coincide with the weekly Torah portion itself. And with the Torah portion focusing on the census taken of the community of Israel in the desert, it relates to the information that was released earlier this week from the Pew Center of their results of the analysis of the Jewish community of America. And I'll share my screen in a moment to share some of the facts with you because they're disturbing. Many of them are disturbing. Some of them are good, but some of the facts are challenging to us in terms of what the Pew Center found about the nature of the American Jewish community. Just a note in terms of taking a census itself and studying the community. The Jewish tradition has always been, based on this morning's Torah reading, that counting is left to God, that God commanded Moses and Aaron to count the people. And when King David later in the Bible decided to count the people of Israel without being commanded to do so, a plague came was inflicted upon the people of Israel as a punishment for King David daring to do something that went against God, that God didn't command to do. So with those two things, God commanding the census here and King David daring to count without being commanded to do so, it was clear that a Jewish tradition developed in the Talmud and throughout Jewish history that we shouldn't be counting. That counting, if we count, then somehow that brings the evil eye against the people. So it's not just, we see that in a number of ways. I had mentioned this in the Torah study earlier this week. Even when we count the straps 7 times on our arm, we're supposed to wrap the tefillin 7 times on our arm before then getting onto the hand. Some people don't even count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll use a verse that has 7 words in order to show that they have had the 7 straps wrapped around their arm. There are people who won't count how many people are in a minyan. So in other words, traditionally it's not appropriate to say,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we need 3 more people to make a minyan, something like that. You're supposed to say not 1, not 2, not 3, something like that, to show that you're not really counting in the right way. Some people don't even count their birthday. They would say, remember Harry Schulman, may he rest in peace, would say, last year I was 90 years old. So it wouldn't tell you exactly how old he is. So there's a reticence, an ancient reticence to focus on numbers and focus on the community. And so nonetheless, the state of Israel always takes a census of the community of Israel, the population of the state of Israel, and releases the figures every Yom HaAtzmaut. So there are over 9 million people living in Israel right now since Yom HaAtzmaut a couple of weeks ago, which is wonderful that the population of Israel keeps growing. And so it's just with that idea that we are supposed to be wary about counting the community and then by extension analyzing the community as well. But nonetheless, the Pew Center studied the Jewish community of America and has found that since the last time it did its study 8 years ago, that the community in America grew by 1.1 million people. They said that in 2013, there were 6.7 million Jews in America. That's their estimate, based on however statisticians and sociologists make estimates like this. And today, there are 7.6 million Jews in America. So growing by 1.1 million over 8 years, I'm not sure if that's good or bad in terms of the way it's growing, but we are a bigger community. However, and here I want to share my screen, here are a couple of statistics or findings that the Pew Center found. So this is Jewish Americans in 2020. So that's when they did their research last year and just released this just a few days ago. So one statistic is Jewish identity in the United States in 2020. How do people define themselves as Jews? Do they define themselves as Jews by religion or of no religion? That is culture, or you're just born Jewish, or yeah, I'm Jewish, or yeah, I'm Jewish because I go to synagogue, or I understand that I'm Jewish because that's my religion, as opposed to I'm Jewish because I was born Jewish, or identify culturally as Jewish, that kind of thing. So 73% of the 7.6 million Jews in America say they're Jewish by religion. Okay, that's good for us as we're here on Shabbat morning and here as a community davening today. 33 screens are with us today. So, okay, so we possibly, if we were called by the Pew Center, we would have answered the question in this way, that we're Jews by religion. However, and this also makes sense based on the age of the people who are on the screen today. The older we are, the more likely it is that we're going to define ourselves as Jews by religion, right? Over the age of 50, at least 81% then of Jews over 50 define themselves as Jewish as a religion. However, those younger, 18 to 29, only 60% define their Judaism as a religion, as opposed to just Jewish, like white, or I'm 20 years old, or something like that, with not more significance to it. So that's fascinating and also challenging for leaders in the Jewish community to determine how to reach out to Jews. So that's the importance of sociological studies like this, is to understand the nature of the community to which you are reaching out and wanting to provide services. So as a synagogue, it's possible that the synagogue is irrelevant to 40% of the 18 to 29-year-olds in the Jewish community. It's possible, unless a synagogue offers non-religious activities that then 60% of the 18 to 29-year-olds might be interested in, that the 40% might be interested in doing, besides the other 60% who might be interested in coming. Now, the other thing is, what kind of synagogue do the Jews go to? And that's, how do they identify as a particular branch of Judaism? Okay, so of the 7.6 million Jews in America, that's this pie chart. Then I'll get to this by age in a moment. According to the pie chart of 7.6 million Jews in America as a whole, 37% of them say that they are Reformed Jews. 32%, almost the same, a third, just about a third of the 7.6 million Jews claim they're no particular denomination. Another third say that they are Reformed, a little bit more than a third. The rest of them, the rest of the third of the Jewish community, most of them are conservative, or 9% are Orthodox, and 4% are some other kind of Jewish. Okay, whether it's like the startup minion kind of Jewish, or Reconstructionist, or renewal, or any of the other kind of areas or so-called denominations that are non-denominational, but there is something that is as opposed to nothing. Okay, however, among the 18 to 29-year-olds, 17% of them say that they're Orthodox. Only 8% say that they're conservative. 29% say they're Reform, and 41% say they're no particular branch. Okay, now just look how the Orthodox number goes down, which is fascinating. 17% of 18 to 29-year-olds are Orthodox. Only 11% of 30 to 49-year-olds are Orthodox, and only 7%, even this one, only 3% of 65 and over in the American Jewish community say that they're Orthodox. Okay, the conservative numbers grow. The older we are, the more likely we are to be conservative, not in great numbers. Only 8% of 18 to 29-year-olds, but over 65, a quarter of the over 65-year-olds say that they're conservative. But the Reform, you see these numbers, okay? There's one other statistic here. I don't want to look at Democrat, Republican, that I don't want to get into that, but I just, how the numbers have changed in 8 years, okay? And I'll just have this as the last factor here. In 2013, of the entire Jewish population, 35% said that they were Reform. Today, 37% say that they're Reform. No particular branch is also just gone up just a little bit. Everything else has gone down, but just slightly. So 18% of the entire Jewish community 8 years ago said that they were conservative. 17% say they're conservative now. Okay, so the population grows by 1.1 million, and conservative Judaism has declined by a percentage point in those years. So this, I don't have an answer. I'm not a prognosticator. I'm not in the leadership of the conservative movement in terms of being able to now use these numbers and findings to understand what we're going to focus our resources on in order to raise those numbers. But I'll just say that as the rabbi of Sharei Tefillah congregation, there are aspects of these findings that we see within our own congregation itself, right? You just take a look, and this is no judgment. I'm just saying this as it is. You just take a look at the average age of the people who are on the screen today. That is the nature of our population who come to shul on a Shabbat morning.
The population's different depending on the activities we do. The social action programs that we've had, especially those activities that we've had with Round Oak Baptist Church the past couple of times, that we have a different population who attends those, and the population might be a little bit younger than those who attend Shabbat morning. I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just pointing this out, that it's something to think about in terms of of going forward. It also highlights for all the conservative congregations in Greater Washington and conservative congregations across the country, that it's something to think about in terms of the future of the congregation. Perhaps the synagogues need to start thinking about partnerships in some ways with other synagogues in order to share resources. Because if synagogues don't grow, that means they're either stable or they're declining. Resources that are available, not just people, but other resources, might not be as accessible. So how do you provide the services that people expect from synagogues in a way that's affordable and manageable? And perhaps partnerships are the way to go, which is why we are beginning to think about a partnership with Beth Shalom in Columbia. We had thought about partnerships with other synagogues that were closer, but they just haven't worked out. But it's possible that we'll see within the Greater Washington area and across the country, synagogues engaging in partnership relationships in order to be more viable and be more attractive to our populations. Now, you know, the facts and figures are based on numbers and broad strokes. Sharei Tefillah is, we have our own way to interpret these numbers based on our own demographics and our geography, right? In the suburbs as opposed to in the city, etc. So that impacts how we move forward as well. But I wanted to share these numbers with you. I wanted to share these findings with you to just show who we are as Jews in America today, based on the findings of the Pew report, and what the challenges are then for synagogues when it seems that a good number of people are not defining their Judaism as religious, that it provides challenges for synagogues and programming for synagogues going forward. So with that, we'll continue with the service. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish for Musaf. We rise page 184 in Lev Shalem, 155 in Sim Shalom, and then we'll start the Amida out loud on the next page.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותך, וימליך מלכותך בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך דקודשה בריחו לילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני Eloheinu ve'Elokei avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Konei Hakol, ve'Zocher Chasedei Avot, Umevi Goel Livnei Vneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Foked, u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avram, u'Foked Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye metim atah Rav lehoshia, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurin, Umekayem emunato, Lishene afar, Michamocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neheman ata lehachayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye metim.
Arit Chavan Akdish Chak Sotziach Savei Kodesh Amakdishim Shchama Kodesh Kakatuv Anamiach Karzel Zev V'Yamar
Naritzecha v'nakdishecha kesot tziach sarfei kodesh hamakdishim shimcha b'kodesh ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. כבודו מלא עולם, משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומו יפן ברחמים, ויחונם המייחדים שמו, ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד, פעמיים ואהבה, שמה אומרים, שמה ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ורחמיו שנית לעיני כל חי, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד עוד לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continue silently 188 to 192 in Lev Shalem, 158 to 161 in Sim Shalom.
Let's save and change
As we conclude our private prayers, we continue with Sim Shalom 191 in Lev Shalem, top of 161 in Sim Shalom.
Sim, 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 shalom. Sim, shalom, tova uvracha b'olam. Sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barchenu avinu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha. Sim, sim, sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim, sim, sim shalom tova uveracha. Ki ve'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chaim ve'avat chesed u'tzedaka u'veracha v'rachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim, 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 shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha ba'olam. Sim, sim, sim shalom tova uveracha. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amecha, amecha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים, שים, שים שלום, שים שלום טובה וברכה בעולם. שים, שים, שים שלום טובה וברכה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המברך את עמו ישראל, בשלום.
Amen. We continue with Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish, 203 and Lev Shalem, 181 and Sim Shalom.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך בעלמא דברה קירותך וימליך מלכותך בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך בקודשה ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובאותון דכל ישראל, קדם אבוהון די ושמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
Next page. En Kelohenu.
En Kelohenu, en Kadonenu, en Kemalkeinu, en Kemoshienu, Michelohenu, Michadonenu, Michemalkeinu, Michemoshienu, Nodel Elohenu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shiktiru Avotenu, Lefanecha et Ketoret Hasamim, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la, Yalla la 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 la. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שנוטה שמיים ועושה ארץ. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, כבדו בתורתך. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Today we don't recite the El Male, the memorial prayer, because we're in the beginning of the month of Sivan. So until after Shavuot, we don't recite the El Male, but I will still recite the names of yard sites that I have listed for that we remember today through next Friday. So we remember today Rebecca Blacker, Bela bat Reb Dov Ber, Rose Proctor Douglas, Rivka bat Yaakov Yitzchak, Helen Greenfield, Jeanette Harrison, Benny Petoskey, Baruch ben Moshe Chaim, John Salter, Beatrice Sandler, Estelle Ruth Summer, Esther Rivka bat Michael Aharon, Esther bat Moshe Hennig, Gussie Deutsch, Gittel bat Tzvi, Emmanuel Horowitz, Manos ben Eliyahu Halevi, Elizabeth Wendy Abraham, Ita Geta bat Yitzchak v'Malka Sarah, Leah Appel, Gus Manius, Gedalia ben Yosef, Hyman Bialik, Louis Glassman, Aryeh ben Binyamin, Eve Gordon, Solomon Schlegel, Grace Cohen, Bracha bat Reb Zev, Reba Fassenpower, Rivka bat Reb Raphael, Isaac Hecker, Yitzchak ben David, Frida Levin, Frida bat Shaul Chava, Adele Green, William Isaacs, Gertrude Tadman Iskow, Gittel bat Shmuel, Harriet Kaufman, Joe Pomerantz, Stephen Bruce Rubin, Shmuel Baruch ben Rachmiel, Minna Wilimowski, and Sarah Weiner, Sarah bat Reb Eliezer. May their memories continue to be a source of blessing and comfort to those who mourn them. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 207 in Lev Shalem, 184 in Sim Shalom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'olma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Just a couple of announcements before we conclude the service. Evening Minyan and Havdalah this evening will be at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow, morning Minyan at 8:45, Talmud class at 9:30, prayer book Hebrew class at 10:30. And then we have Shavuot begin Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday. So Sunday evening, we'll have our evening service at 6 o'clock, followed by a study session, which I will lead. And then after that is an opportunity for people to join the Global Conservative Movement, Tikkun Leil Shavuot, all-night study session. You can go on for as little of it or as much of it as you want. I sent out the links yesterday. I'll send them out again on Sunday. And so Sunday night again at 6, and then Monday morning, 9:30 will be our first day Shavuot holiday service. That evening at 6 o'clock for the
afternoon and evening service for the holiday. So 6 o'clock Monday evening. Tuesday morning, 9:30 as well. That service will include Yisker, as well as selections from the Book of Ruth. And then to conclude the holiday, 9 o'clock Tuesday evening with the evening service and the brief Havdalah. We wish a Yasher Koach to Cantor Adina for leading us beautifully this morning, to Paul for reading Torah, to Betsy for chanting the Haftorah, to Stacy for being our Zoom co-host this morning, much appreciated, to Hai and Marilyn for sharing the readings as well. And we'll conclude the service then with Adon Olam on page 211 or page 187, and then Jonah Lansky and however many other Lanskys will lead us in Kiddush afterwards. Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra leit nasa v'cheptzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקיד רוחי בעת אישן ויעירה ואם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא יירא אדוני לי ולא יירא.
All right, Jonah, unmute yourself. Kiddush is found on 315 in Sim Shalom or 77 in Lev Shalem. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael t'Shabbat la sodada Shabbat l'dor tam brit olam. B'nei yovein b'nei Yisrael tili olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai t'shamayim v'et haaretz uvayom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash. Zachor yom ha-Shabbat l'kodsho sheshet yamim tavod v'asidakom lachtecha v'yom hashvi Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha lo taseh kom lacha tavimcha v'techa v'lecha v'amatcha v'emtecha v'gercha shebisharecha ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai t'shamayim v'et haaretz l'kol shabam v'yanach v'yom hashvi al kain be'rach Adonai yom ha-Shabbat v'yikadshehu savri. Lanskys, go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Yasher Koach,
Shabbat shalom.
Jonah and Jacob. Shabbat shalom. You can
Shabbat
unmute.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Jonah.
Shabbat
shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Howie.
Hi, Howie.
Shabbat shalom.
Hello, Philly.
Right.
We might not make Havdalah, so don't worry about us today.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Who's there?
Shabbat shalom to everybody.
Shabbat shalom, all.
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom, Bonnie.
Shalom.